hear anything today that you'd like more information on, feel free to go to my website. It's bullingtoncapital.com. Send us a email, or you can call us at 330-664-0700, and we'll try to call you back as quickly as possible. I will tell you that this is actually our busiest time of year, and it's interesting how people wait until the very last second to try to get stuff done. And a lot of people think mistakenly. I just had a couple of people say, "Hey, you call us every year." Well, yeah, we put letters out if you're above the age, if you're at the age where you have to take an RMD this year. You've gotten a couple emails from us, and quite frankly, that's about all we can do. And as to whether or not you'll actually be able to get that distribution made by the 31st, I don't know. So we can always try, but normally you should line those up, and I'm going to start talking about that on my show more frequently. Actually, I think what I'll end up doing is I'll end up starting in September. That gives you plenty of time if you have to take out a required minimum distribution. Then that's when you should start figuring out what it's going to be. We would have the numbers by then because we calculate the distribution based on December 31st of the prior year. So you know what you have to take. And if you wait until then there's a really good chance that you might not get the second. Yeah, okay. There's a really good chance that you won't get the distribution done, and that's very difficult. It's a very difficult situation to be in because there's not a whole lot that you can do at that point. And we have huge vendors, the custodians like Fidelity, E-Trade, Goldman Sachs, and I'm telling you, all of them say, "Hey, look, if you don't get it in by the first week of the month of December, there's no guarantee that you're going to get that." So if everybody has the same idea, I'm going to wait until the very last week of the year, and then I'm going to submit my request. And you just might not get it, and it's not us. It's the fact that everybody in the country that has to take RMDs has gotten the idea that it's best to hold on until the very last second. Well, you know, not really. In fact, you probably want to set that up. It would make more sense to me anyway. If you set it up by a year, let's say you're 75 this year, you're going to have to take out a certain amount from your IRA. So just you can figure out what that is for next year based on the last day of the month this year. So you got a couple more days, get that value, you can do the calculation, and you can have it set up so that it goes into your checking account. You get a monthly distribution for it. I think that makes a lot of sense. For the vast majority of people, if you know what it's going to be, I wouldn't wait until December 31st of next year to try to get it sent out to you. You need to get it sent out as soon as you can. You don't want to do the monthly distributions. I understand but you've got to know we're not responsible. That responsibility lies directly on you. If your advisor makes a mistake, that's not the advisor's fault. It's because it's your money, and IRS is pretty dead set on this. You have to make sure that you get that out of the account that you own, and we'll help you. In fact, we spend the last quarter of every year doing a tremendous amount of check-ins and, hey, do you have everything? Need anything? And but and having said that, there's still a bunch of them that wait until the last. I promise you, 1 year, I will have somebody calling on Tuesday, the 31st at 3:45. 15 minutes before the end of the last business day. I promise you that's going to happen. And they're going to be disappointed because if we don't have them in at least a week now, because everybody else has the same idea, it's probably not going to get out. Now, will you get penalized? I don't know. You're supposed to. If you don't take the distribution, and the penalties are pretty severe. So anyway, just thought I would talk about that because it's on my mind, and everybody is, like I said, everybody's just been putting this up. I can't believe it. I mean, when I get to that age, and it's mandatory that I start taking out from my IRA. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure out. There's a table, and if you don't know what it is, just give us a call. There's a table that gives a percentage that you're required to take out. So, and you can put these off. You can put the IRAs off for quite a while. They actually increase the age quite a bit, and it's actually going to adjust over the next years. They've changed it every year now for the past 4 or 5 years. So that's another thing making it confusing. They keep changing, the rules, and for different people, different ages. But bottom line is, let's say I'm 75. I know I'm going to take out by 75, and whatever the balance is as of December 31st last year, or actually this year, will be the dollar amount that I'm going to use for the distribution for 2025. Okay, so then I'm going to take it, divide it by 12, and just have each month just have it deposited in my checking account, like a regular ordinary income. By the end of the year, I will have taken out everything that I needed, and I won't have to guess. I know how that's going to go over with most people listening to this. It's they they just want to make it hard on themselves, And I've always been looking for ways of trying to make things easier on you, not more difficult. And so that would be one of the ways. That would be a suggestion. That would be a good thing to do. Having said that, we're always working on stuff to try to increase the level of service that we can provide for our clients. And I've been working on a couple of doozies. They're big, and I'm not really ready to talk about it in detail right now, but I'm excited about it. Over the next couple of quarters, we're going to start to roll some things out, and it should really help from an organizational standpoint, from a cost standpoint, a rate of return standpoint, which is something that I really wanted to talk about in more detail in this show. We'll talk about it in the second segment right after the commercial break. But it is this is going to make things a lot easier. It'll make things more organized. It should work out a whole lot better with any estate planning things that you want to do. That's going to be a topic that we pick up here in the next few months. We're talking about that going forward. The estate planning issues, it's a lot better to get things put in place before you pass away. Last year we had 3 clients pass away in 1 year. And I'm telling you, I've spent an unbelievable amount of time beforehand to try to convince people to get their estates in order. Well, they didn't do it. In fact, not one of the 3 did it. And it was a mess. It's just a mess. And the bottom line is, I don't know, I guess if you don't like your family, don't do any planning. Just let them fight it out in court. But if you like your family, if you get along with your family, and I'm kind of laughing about this, but it's actually a real thing. Some families just don't get along, and so the patriarchs and matriarchs they just refuse to do any estate planning because they don't get along with the rest of their family. And that is one really good way to stick it to them because it is expensive. You don't have a will or you don't have trust. Holy schmoly. That is, I don't know that I'm laughing about it, but people get really upset. So if you don't like your kids, then just don't do any estate planning. But if you like your kids, or if you got one good kid, that's a really good reason to have some estate planning done. And I've been working on so many different things. This last couple of years, the technology has been changing rapidly. And it's the change behind the scenes that doesn't really affect the general public that much. It affects all financial advisors because we've been upgrading and rolling into new systems you won't even notice, but try to track things and keep better track of ideas, try to keep diversified, try to expand the number of offerings that we've got. This year, like I said, it's going to be a big year for us. And we've been working on a lot of things for quite a while now and are just getting ready to start rolling them out. So stay tuned on that. It should make your whole life easier. Been working with talking to a couple of estate planning attorneys to see if they might want to come onto the show and just talk about what it is that they're doing. And laws are with estate planning and income tax. It's just constantly changing. Just constantly. I thought my entire career at some point in time, this guy's got to get tired. And what I didn't realize is that they're going to teach the younger kids coming behind them, the younger people, how to do what they did and continue to keep changing all this stuff. Yeah, I'm all for change if it's beneficial, but I'm not for change if it's just for the sake of change. I think there's an awful lot of that goes on, and some of it's pretty good, but I had no idea I would have to be studying this hard at this stage in my career. But anyway, so I feel bad for the general public because it is not something that is super simple. You can make it a lot more simple if you have a really good knowledge of everything that you have to take care of. Different types of wills, different types of trust, different types of power of attorney. Those are all things that you really need to talk to somebody who specializes in that area. So, like I said, I'm going to make some contests this year. We're going to get some of those people on the air so that we can help you out that way. I think that's a big deal. Every dollar that you save in taxes on state taxes or costs, every dollar that you save is a dollar that you don't have to earn. So that makes it pretty, or can actually be very influential on the outcome of the investment. That's another thing. Nobody. I rarely see trusts where they lead direction for how the money should be invested. It does not have to be complicated. And I rarely see a trust that mentions that. Normally, language is something like it'll be to a trustee, and the trustee will be a fiduciary and will do the thing. And you know what? If you don't know the people or you don't know the beneficiaries, you don't know what their ages are, just to basically run a balanced account is typically what happens, but that may not always be the right thing to do. You're going to have to have those conversations. It's a pain in the butt, but you should do it. I've been talking to my kids since they were, used to wonder why I was talking to them or what I was talking to them about. They were like 12 years old. And a couple of them are really sharp as far as that goes. So I won't have a really big problem. They're not going to have a big problem, but it's not because sat back and waited. So in fact, I'm going to have to get mine changed again this year. But anyway, there are so many things that you can do. A lot of times it is overwhelming. You're starting to think about getting close to retirement. Maybe you're already in retirement. How am I going to make my money last as long as I do? There's a bunch of different ways. I wish I could give a blanket theory out so that everybody could do the same exact thing and would reach all their goals. Well, that's just not realistic. Everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. People have different wants. They have different likes and dislikes. That's a big part of what I'm trying to do with this new platform that I've been talking about. I'm not ready to talk about in great detail yet because we're still getting the details worked out. So, but it will allow us to be a lot more flexible. We'll offer a much bigger platform that does a whole ton of things. And I think it's going to be a big improvement. So stay tuned. But again, it's in the my aim is basically to be able to help more people reach the goals that they want to have. I have people that come in and say, well, I want to do stocks. Yeah, okay. What kind of stocks do you want to do? There are only a few thousand of them. So you need to be a little bit more, you need to have a little bit better direction. Got to have some other characteristics that you're laying out that you would like to see. And now when I say that, well, I want the ones that go up 10% a year with no fees and no taxes and big dividends too. Okay, well, if you find that, you let me know. And I can tell you, I would be surprised if the stock market averaged much more than 6-7% a year over the next 5 years. And that's including the dividend, incidentally. And why am I saying that? Well, because valuations are high. Again, they were here a couple of years ago, and now they're back. Market's actually making an all-time new high. And it's actually, hang on here, 2022, pretty high. It's actually up 24% now over where it was in 2022. In 2022, I was thinking, holy schmoly, the market's really, overpriced. And of course, in 2023, it was down about 27%. Now it's made that back up, and now it's back up, and it's up fairly significantly from where it was during that time period, but above the high level that was reached in the last quarter, actually the first quarter of 2022. So you had 3 years, and it's up 24% for 3 years. That's only 8% a year. And since it was overpriced the last time it was here, now it's overpriced again, but not by a ton. The markets typically have a fairly big correction, 10, 15% every 12 to 18 months. So that's normal. By the way, it looks overdue for that too. So anyway, I've got about 5 seconds here before I have to go to commercial. This is Bill Bullington right here on 1420. Stay back because we're going to talk about what to do over the next couple of years in the stock market. And I will be back with these messages.
Even though I walk through the valley, sometimes it feels like I crawl through the valley. But I got a promise that I hold on tight to. I can't lose when I'm right beside you. Yeah, gotta know the plans you have for me when my cup is overflowing. So while I'm in the in-between, I'ma live my life knowing if I get...
You've seen the commercials. You know how beautiful the island is and how great the locals are. Now it's time to experience the beauty of Ireland in the spring, when even the rock-hewn Burren region comes alive with color. As the wildflowers cover the terrain, you'll take in the scenic views that National Geographic calls one of the most beautiful spots in the world. Of course, the cliffs of Moher and castles. Great music and fun with the locals. You'll stay in first-class hotels, including a resort that Condé Nast considers in the top 10 in all of Europe. Galway, considered one of the coolest cities in Europe. The history of Dublin, the best seafood in the world in Kinsale. Go to morethanatour.online for more information. Leave in the evening on the only direct flight from Cleveland to Europe and arrive in Dublin for your morning scone. Give the gift of more than a tour this year. Give them an experience of a lifetime. Morethanatour.online.
The Answer is 1420 AM and 102.9 FM.
Do you ever find yourself saying, I need a vacation? Vacation Fixation can help. At Vacation Fixation, we specialize in all-inclusive trips and cruises to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Disney vacations. Why choose us? Our clients book through Vacation Fixation because they are frustrated with online trip brokers and timeshare scams. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a family trip, spring break, or honeymoon, Vacation Fixation will personalize a trip just for you. Want to know the hottest destinations in Cancun, Punta Cana, Jamaica, or Puerto Vallarta? Interested in room upgrades, beach reviews, or details about resort restaurants? How about finding a trip with a direct flight? At Vacation Fixation, we take all of your specific travel requests and shop our suppliers to find the best deal. What's the cost? Our suppliers pay us so you don't have to. Call 330-573-8147 for more details. Or you can visit our website at vacationfixation.com or check out the deal of the day on Facebook. Vacation Fixation.
Is it finally time to update your bathroom? Bath Planet, a division of Joyce Factory Direct, specializes in replacing and converting old showers and tubs into new, beautiful bathrooms in as little as one day. We have transformed thousands of bathrooms just like yours into a spa-like oasis that has homeowners excited to use their new bathtub or shower. Right now, all bath installations are 50% off. So call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing. 440-243-5700 or visit joycefactorydirect.com.
I can't believe it. You came through at the end of my...
Well, welcome back. This is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. If you'd like to reach out to me, my website's bullingtoncapital.com. You can also email me, bill@bullingtoncapital.com, or you can call us 330-664-0700. And I was just talking about annuities and where they fit. That was one of the things I was talking about. We'll come back to the market in just a second. But it's really interesting. So say you're 62 now, and you're going to be 60. You have to be 63 before you can take money out of the annuity without a penalty. It's actually got a 9-year penalty. But if you want to turn the income on, there's an income rider. That's basically annuities, incidentally. Almost all annuities are a form of life insurance. And I don't think people realize that annuities were around before life insurance policies were around, and they were around a lot longer than life insurance policies were. And it goes way back, even to founding fathers. The very first, the real founding fathers, the one that came over on the Mayflower, a lot of them built forts, and they would contribute to pot, of money for the people that lived in the fort, in case their parents died and left kids there, that they would actually be able to try to take care of them as a group, and so they would all pitch money in. It is unbelievable. And by the way, the Plymouth Rock was named Plymouth Rock because the first voyage, or that particular voyage, was financed by the Plymouth Land Company in England. It was a limited partnership. So I always think that is hilarious that you don't really think much about how did they finance things. Like, how did Rome finance the Colosseum? They did. They had taxes, and they hired contractors and paid them. It was funny to think about. This stuff's been going on for hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of years. But as long as people are born, they're going to live and they're going to pass away one day. They're probably going to have children, and those people that they leave behind, they might want to take care of at some point in time. They want to take care of themselves so they don't have to work as long, and that's basically what this is for. You have traditional life insurance to take care of your beneficiaries, so people that you are close to you, and it could be anything. But to take care of yourself, I bought these so that I know I have a certain amount of income, so that if I take the income from my annuities and add it to my Social Security, I'm good. So the rest of my money is just there. I'm just trying to grow it for my kids, and I'm going to try to do the best I can. Um, Hopefully, I'll be around for quite a while, so should be pretty interesting. I have a very simple approach to the whole financial planning thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that 4% rule, but the 4% rule is basically take 4% of whatever your savings are, and that's the amount of income you could expect to reliably generate if you increased that every year for inflation, and it should last for 30 years if you land a balance account that consisted of stocks, bonds, and cash. There's so many ifs in that kind of stuff, and that's one of the problems with financial planning. You don't really know the exact answers. You have to do your best job to estimate what you think is going to happen, what you think your needs are going to be, what you think the inflation rate might be, what you think the growth on stocks might be. There's so many ifs. It's one of the reasons that financial advisors still have a job, because whenever you're sitting down and starting to think about that, that's basically those are the types of things that we have to ask questions on. And when somebody comes in, if they've never thought about it, it's probably going to shake them up a little bit. If they haven't thought, or if they have thought about it, those are the easier ones because they'll recognize. Here, let's say you're. I'm going to change this up a little bit. Let's say you're 61, but so you'll be eligible for Social Security next year, and you plan on retiring. And you just want to see what you could get on $100,000 that you have in an account somewhere, but you want to use that to generate income. So if you use that in this particular product, it's an annuity, called fixed index annuity. You put $100,000 in, and when you turn 62, they're going to guarantee an income of $6,950 for the rest of your life. Okay, that's close to 7%. That's pretty good. It will go on by the way, if you're a couple, then you use the youngest one's age when you're trying to do an estimate of how much income you think you'd get. If I'm single and if I wait another year till I'm 63, it goes to 7,582. That's pretty good. If I go to age 64, it goes to 8,319. If I go to 65, it goes to 9,020. At 66, it goes to 9,818. And at 67, it's 10,665. Now, that is guaranteed by the insurance company. It doesn't matter what interest rates do. It doesn't matter what the stock market does. I put the money in now when I'm 67. For every $100,000 I put in there, I'm going to get $10,665 if I decide to take it then for the rest of my life, and even if I live to 150. So if you'd like to talk about these things, they're really, I used to get a lot of kickback on this. Hey, why are you talking about annuities? You're the stock guy. Yeah, but I'm also getting to the point where I'm getting close to retirement age. and most of my clients are approaching retirement as well. They're not already there. And to be able to have this type of product where you can say, okay, we're going to take this is the base. Take your Social Security, take your pension, whatever you got. That's going to be the base. If that doesn't cover all your base monthly expenses, and you may want to consider this. You don't have to. Nobody has to do anything. Yeah, we'll try to. We customize every plan that we do to somebody's specific needs, and but this makes a really good option to guarantee a certain amount of your income into retirement. So you and your spouse, you can add your spouse, by the way. These can be joint annuities. In both, something happens to one, and the other one just continues to get the income. So I think it's a good idea. It's something to explore, something to look I just have to ask you a couple questions, and I can give you a quote really quickly. And if you don't have to take it, let's say I put this at for my age. So if I wanted to wait until I was 70, let's say 71, because it goes 10 years from the start of my age, and the income 10 years from now, it's $15,184 and $100,000. So if I put that in, waited 10 years, that's my worst case scenario. That's kind of how I like to look at these. Is what is the worst case scenario? And if the market doesn't make any money for the next 10 years, well, and I put $100,000 in there, well, I'm going to get at least $15,000 a year for the rest of my life. Actually, close, yeah, a little over $15,000 a year for the rest of my life. So that's pretty good, and it's one of the reasons I sleep really well at night these days. Yeah, because I know that all I have to do is live now. Find things to do so I'm not getting too bored. But that's a good problem to have, I think. And anyway, knock on wood. So back to the stock market. Stock market's not super cheap. It's not. When you look at the long-term price of sales ratios, it's a little on the high end right now. So what does that mean? Well, I don't know. The valuations are close to where they were in March of 2000. I remember that like it was yesterday. That's how old I am too, by the way. Remembering all the way back there. But market went down a little over 50%. And then in 2000, by the end of 2007, it had fully recovered. Right before it went down a little bit further than it did from 2000 to 2002. So by the March of 2009, it was down significantly. It was down a little over 50%. And then it took it until 2013 for the price of the S&P 500 to get higher than it was in March of 2000. That is a long time. Now, if you reinvested the dividend, it was only a 10-year negative time period. Makes you feel really good, right? Yeah. Now you know. People were asking me all that. Why are you talking about this? You've never talked about these things. Yeah. Well, that's why. That's why I'm talking about annuities now. Because if you have another one of those time periods, I mean, this is where if you had spent nothing, you had spent nothing and reinvested your dividends, you had a 10-year negative return. 10-year negative return. And by the way, that's one of the better performing funds that's out there available to be able to invest in. And a little spooky. So I'd be careful. I've only got about half my money. Actually, a little less. About in the annuities. And like I said, between that and Social Security, I'm good. So the other 75% got invested different ways, different funds. I'm always looking for ideas. Again, I've been working with Fidelity very closely. They've got some really nice tools out there that I am thinking about using. So I always do my research. By the way, I always go first. I'm always the guinea pig. I'll put my money in something before I'll put one of my clients' money in something because I don't really know backwards and forwards how that stuff works, and I just don't want to do it. But so that is one of the areas. There's so many options, and again, we all have continuing education requirements we got to do. I have to do about 30 hours a year between everything. It doesn't sound like much, but okay, 30 hours of hardcore studying is pretty difficult to do all at once. Anyway, I got about 30 seconds before I got to sign off here. If you've heard anything you'd like more information on, I know I've been rambling like crazy. give me a call, 330-664-0700, or go to my website, bullingtoncapital.com. I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. And hope you guys all have a great new year. And I will be looking forward to talking to you next year, actually next Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, right here on 1420. Have a good week. Good luck. Good and best.
You just caught another edition of the Bullington Capital Report, broadcasting every Saturday at 11 a.m. on AM 1420, The Answer. If you have a question and you'd like to speak to Bill personally, you can call him at 330-664-0700. That's 330-664-0700. Or online at bullingtoncapital.com. That's bullingtoncapital.com.
The preceding program has been paid for by Bullington Capital Management, LLC.